A very good day and welcome to another video from the DB Garage. Today we're working on a BMW. We're going to completely remove the entire interior. We'll be installing this brand new electric rear sunshade in the back, so it actually goes in right underneath here. The fact of the matter is the car is really in absolutely pristine condition when it comes to the carpets and also the headliner, so everything is perfect. It is really incredibly black in here. Unfortunately, the brand new electric sunshade that we just bought has already started to fade quite a bit. I'll show you a few more detailed pictures of that. And the next plan is to thoroughly clean it right now with a sticky lint roller, because the previous owner definitely had a dog or some other kind of shedding pet. I would safely assume it was a dog. First we'll give that a cleaning. Then we'll dye it for the first time. We're using the Foliatec carpet dye. It's a fantastic piece of equipment and I highly recommend it. I'll be sure to put a link down below in the video description for you. While we wait for it to dry, we'll go ahead and run a diagnostic on the car. We are going to start by slowly removing all of the seats, because absolutely everything we need to do and everything we will be working on inside the cabin with the wiring requires us to take out the seats first to have enough room. Since this specific cover with the electric sunshade protection won't get in the way of any of our future work or upcoming projects, we will take care of that task, so we have one less thing to worry about later on. After we finish that, we will move on to install the complete wiring for the xenon lights and whatever else is required for the navigation system and everything else. Let's go ahead and take this step by step. So it is important that you really shake it continuously and vigorously for 2 or 3 minutes to make sure the ingredients are thoroughly combined. We've thoroughly cleaned off some of the dust and now we've rolled it out. Now we'll apply the first coat of paint. And while we're working on the car, carefully removing the seats and everything else, we'll let this dry. Later on we'll paint it one more time and still have plenty of time to install the cables. We need to route and run all of these cables, so they go from here behind the glove compartment over there and right into the center console. Of course, we had to go out and get a different center console for this build. Here it is. The first coat is done. Now I'll show you a few pictures after the first coat. This actually looks surprisingly good to me. Maybe we will not even need to paint it a second time. In any case, there should be enough for 2 full coats with just this one single bottle of paint. I actually took 2 with me, just in case I needed more. You really have to think about practical things like this when you are working. Of course, this entire surface will now be finished in black. So if you notice that something else has faded over time, it would definitely be smart to go ahead and paint that as well while you are at it. Otherwise, you'll have a difference where this is too dark and on the other hand something else has faded. It doesn't make sense. But in my case, absolutely everything is really in excellent and pristine condition. So if something else has faded, keep in mind that it might not be a bad idea to give that a fresh coat of paint as well. Now we'll paint it one more time. So first of all, we need to make sure we vigorously shake the can for a total of about 2 full minutes. So far it has actually turned out quite well, but you can still see a bit of an area where it's faded. Tomorrow we'll have to glue that fabric just a little bit more, but otherwise it looks really good. You can see right here, this is where the speakers are located, for example. Here it's the factory black, and you can see a minimal difference here. And there you have it. Honestly, I don't think we're going to have any real need at all to open up that second bottle, because everything right here already looks quite absolutely perfect to me right now. We'll let this dry out now, and then we're going to run diagnostics with the BMW software to see. Basically, we'll just read through the engine and transmission computers. That is what's most important to us. And the rest, well, The main advantage of cars like this is that they don't have too many complex electronics. So let's move right along. Alright, so as we just saw a moment ago on the screen, there is only one error code. The error is Ansteuerung, Kennfeldkühlung, which basically means it could be either the thermostat itself or the thermostat housing. This is very good news because that is a relatively cheap repair of about 50 euros. Now, I am going to show you how simple it is to replace it yourself. We'll definitely also have to perform some necessary maintenance work on the engine and completely replace this old power steering reservoir. And we'll go ahead and change out the gasket for the filter itself, and the entire oil filter housing unit. So, we definitely have to start by addressing this power steering reservoir. We're going to need to get this part out of the way, and it's right here. We are also going to replace the thermostat and the thermostat housing as well. Alright, as for the gearbox, there are absolutely no errors or issues there. So now we've painted, that is, we've applied the second coat over there. We've completely done the diagnostics. Now we'll very carefully and slowly begin removing the interior seats. We will certainly be able to manage to successfully take out the rear ones today. As it turns out, we should actually be able to remove the front seats as well. Alright, let's get back to the work at hand. Alright, let's start removing them very carefully and slowly. First, we will start by removing the headrests, and then we will move on to the lower part of the seat. You will see that the lower part is just slotted into place, so you simply need to pull it straight upwards to lift it out. Moving forward, we carefully detach and remove the side panels from both sides of the unit, and then we proceed to completely remove the rear backrest along with this final back section here. Alright. This really is not, see, this was just slotted in right now. Normally there would be another screw here. The lower part of the unit just pulls straight out on both sides, right here and over here, because it is well securely clipped in right here in the middle between the sections. This is the headrest. Alright. Additionally, we also have this 18mm screw right here. Alright, let's go. We'll try this particular side of the device first, and then we'll carefully remove this screw a little bit later. There we go. He lost it. It is just a small lamp. Actually, it is a light bulb. Alright, we've completely taken that piece out now. Okay, so we have taken that out. We've removed the rear seats. It's quite a bit dirty, but nothing really serious. It's actually the fuel pump. Now at this point we also need to carefully remove this piece of trim, right here. So take this plastic strip. We need to remove this outer panel because of course there are a few more hidden screws located right behind it. We have to carefully unscrew those remaining fasteners as well. So now we can simply pull this plastic strip straight out of the assembly. After we remove the seats and the backrest, we took off this plastic piece that is designed to hold everything in place. Now we are going to carefully remove, well, this rear section. In order to do that properly, we first need to remove the interior C-pillar trim pieces on both the left and right sides of the car. So let's begin this process very gently. It is literally just secured by clips into this position right here, and it is held in place by just one single electrical cable for the light. Otherwise, it is in perfect condition. Now, let's check the other side. In theory, there we go, it's coming off. There we go. Now that looks really good. So the original component is actually also in absolutely perfect condition. Nothing has come unglued or detached anywhere at all, but unfortunately it is just not what we need for this. So right here we are going to install the sunshade's electric protection system. These are the two antennas for the central locking and for the radio. We'll also have to connect to this antenna because we're going to install navigation, which this car doesn't have, so we'll have to connect to those cables. Alright, now in order to pull this entire assembly out, we first have to carefully unscrew the seatbelt mounts for the airbag system. These specific mounts are securely bolted down right here at the base of the frame, and it is essential to remove these fasteners before proceeding with the disassembly process. We'll go ahead and remove that piece right now, so we can successfully extract the upper part. As you can see, everything here is completely original on both the left hand and right hand sides. Then we remove that piece, but for now we won't be putting in the spare yet. As a matter of fact, the brand new one we've prepared, we'll only do that at the end, because I still need to finish installing the cables for the navigation here. Alright, we'll put this screw right back in its place now, so we won't have to worry or think about where each screw goes later on. We will make things easier for ourselves, whenever we can, of course, because there will be a lot of screws. So you just lift it up. All of this is just carefully slotted into place like this. You simply turn it to the side and gently pull it through. And we also have to do the same thing with the middle one, of course. This particular one is actually in much better condition than my new one, because the new one had unfortunately come a bit unstuck. We had to carefully glue it back together a little bit using some fabric glue. Of course, we'll reuse all the trim pieces we possibly can from the old one. That's it. Sound speakers, safety airbag. So this display up here is the movement signal. That specific indicator is for the rear park distance control. All in all, it doesn't look bad. Next, we are going to remove the front seats. Each seat is held in place by 4 bolts that you will need to unscrew and take out. Alright, now that we have taken out the floor carpets, there is a small plastic piece you will see. Next, we'll move the front seat all the way forward to reach the area. We'll start by unscrewing the 2 bolts at the rear, then move it back. Once that part is finished, we will then take our tool and carefully unscrew the bolts found on the front panel of the unit. It is just this piece of plastic that is inserted right in here. This helps prevent any unwanted dust or debris from getting inside the mechanism. Either they didn't tighten it much, or I am strong, or that is 1 bolt. First we have unscrewed the 2 rear bolts. Now we will slide the seat all the way back as far as it will go and begin to unscrew the front bolts. This is important, especially when you take into account just how old these seats are. It's not me, the seats. Whew! It's unbearably and incredibly hot today, especially sitting in the car right now. Alright, then we'll go ahead and put this plastic piece back since it's not in our way right now. Now we can carefully proceed to disconnect the seat cables from the base. That is all for this particular part of the job. Now, the next thing that we are going to need to disconnect is this specific electrical cable used for adjusting the seat position. Once you have successfully unplugged that connection, we will finally be in a perfect position where we can safely lift the entire seat assembly right out of the vehicle frame, which is likely going to be quite a difficult task considering these are fully power adjustable electric seats and are quite substantial in weight, but we are certainly going to do our absolute best to manage it. So we don't scratch anything, of course. And of course, just like we did earlier on the front passenger side of the vehicle, we're going to follow exactly the same process for the driver's side now. And of course, 2 bolts in the front, 2 in the back. Now, looking over here, the passenger side is actually relatively clean in that specific regard. It is not like it looks absolutely exceptional or anything like that, which is quite often the case where you can clearly see rust forming on the bolts here and it eventually gets into the carpet. But here, for a car that has already traveled 340,000 kilometers, it is really in quite decent condition in that respect, all things considered. I'm curious if there's any rust underneath here, because they have those specific rubber pieces located down here which are designed for the jack points for the scale, and they often end up having a whole lot of heavy rust built up on them, you know, primarily because those seals tend to let quite a bit of water in there over time, which just sits and eats away at the metal. Just one bolt. This one here was really incredibly tight. And there we have it. We have successfully finished unscrewing all the bolts. Now that the hard work is behind us, we have reached the best part of the job, which is lifting the seat out of the car. It's really awkward. The seat is actually quite heavy. Now I'll give you a closer look at what it looks like inside. Without any cleaning. I mean, I haven't cleaned it at all. It is really in very good condition. Typically you would expect to find some rust right here, but looking at this, it is actually just some accumulated dirt and not a sign of rust at all. The driver's side is a bit dirtier, but nothing serious, really in top condition. Ended. Next, we'll also remove this old carpet. We'll have to cut it at the front. Right up close, because it goes under the dashboard. We're not going to remove the dashboard just for the carpet. Now we'll remove the center console. To remove this part, we first need to unscrew these 2 small screws we have here. Once those are out, we can carefully take this piece out. So we have to take all of this out completely now and set it aside. We'll use a magnetic tool so that none of the screws get lost or fall somewhere deep down where it's much harder to reach them. This can be done without removing the seats, but since we have to take everything out anyway, of course it's much easier for us this way. This is for the air. They are all linked together using just a single specialized adapter. It seems that on every BMW model this specific mechanism is broken, but I actually believe that we can fix that problem. We will get around to fixing it a bit later on. Absolutely all of that needs to be taken out right now. Directly underneath these connectors, we can also find another small Phillips head screw. Right here, tucked under the handbrake, there is another screw to find. So now we have to carefully remove the navigation unit, the climate control panel, and this entire center console. There are 2 more screws hidden here. There really are quite a lot of screws to deal with. You can really tell that cars used to be made with a much higher level of quality, not just BMW, but all the other manufacturers too. Everything here was all made to last, quite simply to last. to last, to last. So the center console pulls straight out. There's only one single electrical connector. Oh, so where exactly does all of this go from here? We'll need to take out this entire structural frame because we're going to need it for the next center console anyway. But we'll have to completely disassemble every single component here for the navigation system to work properly regardless of the setup. We still have one more screw. Why won't this one come out now? Here's why. Because there are two more screws over here. Oh my goodness. So it must still be held in place by these side panels here. Additionally, of course, they are also firmly screwed in right up at the top section. Just take a look right here. There we go. And here we have this one last screw left over here, and that is the very last part of this step. That was the second and final screw. Now we have actually reached the point where we can completely take the whole thing out. I hope so. Well, as you can see, of course we're not, because there's still one final little Phillips screw right up here. Ta-da! And here it is, the entire center console has been removed. Now we'll carefully take out this particular component for the air circulation, actually for the proper rear ventilation system. There we go, we have successfully taken the whole thing out now. We've taken it out. Actually, when you look closely, this central part is not in such a bad condition as it potentially could have been. Here on this section you can see a little bit of surface rust developing on the left side, but over on the right side it is really in top-notch condition. Now of course we are going to run all of these cables directly through the tunnel in order to simplify the process for us. This way we do not have to go all the way around for the air conditioning, for the navigation system, and for the front PDC sensors, of course. Now we are going to cut this bracket right here so that we can easily pull out the entire rear carpet. So this one won't be coming back anymore. We have the central console with leather. We'll keep in place everything that doesn't get in the way, of course, so we have less work to handle later if needed. That's it. Now we can finally start to remove all those 5 million individual screws that we took out of the interior of the car. Well, specifically from the center console area, not from the rest of the car. It's right in our way. This fiberglass insulation is also in our way. Now we can carefully take the entire carpet out of the room. So nothing is holding it here anymore. Actually, we can just trim away the carpet here and that's it. No need to remove anything else, it doesn't matter. It's under the console anyway, so you won't be able to see it. As you can see, this carpet weighs a few kilos. Let's see. It is in absolutely top-notch condition. So just minimal surface rust. This is the one. So let us see. No, don't worry, that is actually just some minor surface rust that hasn't done any real damage to the metal. Just some surface rust, that's just great. That is excellent. Let me show you one more time. Exactly how it looks on the inside. So this is really just some very light and minimal surface rust. It is the same here, and I actually thought there was a bit more, but no. It is just surface rust. We will protect it, clean it, protect it, and that is it. So it is in perfect condition. There's nothing wrong. Really excellent condition. And with that, we've come to the end of this BMW video. In the next video, we'll slowly start the process of installing the 16:9 navigation system. This car currently only has a standard radio, so if you like this, please follow, like, and share, and I will see you in the next BMW video. And we'd like to welcome you back to the DB Coding Garage. Good day and welcome to the DB Garage. Hey there, I'm Dejan and you're watching DB Garage. There is absolutely no way. Same here. A video from the DB Garage. Absolutely, of course. We'll perform a complete diagnostic check on the vehicle so we can make sure about everything. Taking it off. Well, there's no microphone. You can't do it without a microphone. We'll do a diagnostic. Why exactly are you spinning the camera? Who is that? Hey, what was that error again? Should we record again? Please go ahead and continue with what you were saying.